Hey, you guys ready?
Yes.
Ready.
So 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome back to another episode of Speaking Cinema, Serious Movie Jibber Jabber, a movie podcast, coming to you from LACA, USA, PE, MWG.
Milky Way Galaxy.
Yep, thank you, Matt. Milky Way Galaxy.
When you put solar system first and then Milky Way Galaxy. No, wait. What?
I'm your host, Mr. Jibber Jabber. With me today is Kev,
Hello.
Matt.
Hey.
Follow us on Twitter at Speaking Cinema. Rate, review, subscribe, and listen to us Jibber Jabber on Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, and now TuneIn.
Great.
Yeah.
And any other
It's a mouthful. I think.
So many outlets.
so many ways to enjoy us blather about
To
movies.
hear our dulcet tones.
This time on the Jibber Jabber, meet the voices inside your head. 2015's Cake, aka Inside Out.
Cake?
Cake was their code name for the movie.
Oh, okay.
Little trivia right there.
I thought it was that Jennifer Aniston Oscar bait ploy.
Mislead.
Oh boy.
That was a mislead. We almost roped you into watching that fucking movie.
I was gonna jump out the balcony.
Part 2 of our currently airing series, also part of our animated movie series. Doubleheader this time.
Oh boy.
Inside Out. Written by Meg LeFleur,
The foe?
Josh Cooley, and Pete Docter. Directed by Pete Docter and Ronnie Del Carmen. We're not doing it again. If you're not familiar, after a young Riley is uprooted from her Midwest life and moved to San Francisco, her emotions, joy, fear, anger, disgust, and sadness, conflict on how best to navigate a new city, house, and school.
Yeah, that sounds
Right.
That sounds about right.
Oh, yeah, we do have the right movie. Just confirming.
This is the
So
one.
this is not Cake. This is, in fact...
So for the record, Pixar has done a movie about toys with feelings, about fish with feelings, and now feelings with feelings.
We're really just coming full circle here with the feelings.
What's next? We'll find out. This will
Dinosaurs
be.
with feelings.
Speaking of Pixar, this is their 15th release. It's an interesting thing. They are part of Disney, but they're kind of their own mini studio in a lot of ways. They operate in complete autonomy. The first movie was Toy Story in 1995. 20 years later, they have not had one box office, fan, or critical failure, which is completely unheard of in like the world of motion pictures. Very impressive.
Cars 2
Yeah, I
took
was
a
going to say
beating.
Cars 2. And
Okay, while they're usually Pixar movies appeal to people of all ages, Cars 2 did not appeal to the older crowd, but I have a 3-year-old cousin, which Cars 2 is, bread and the butter. You know what I mean? He is goo for gaga for those
Kids
things.
love those cars.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and the movie made hundreds of millions of dollars, sold hundreds of millions of toys, inspired one of the greatest theme park rides of all time, and
I have yet to ride that. Really want to.
correct
It's
that
good.
mistake.
God.
It's really good. It's great. I could not put that over.
Line is usually about 2 hours long.
You got a fast pass. Got to fast pass.
Single rider if you're...
Single rider if you're lucky.
Or just go in February when I do, and nobody's there.
Fair enough.
You'd think so, but oh boy, it's still
right,
still
all right.
still a beast.
Still a big draw.
So that's the interesting thing about Pixar is that they've never missed. The worst thing you could say is that adults didn't like a kids movie about cars,
Exactly.
right? Or family. I'd rather say a family movie about cars. That's the only thing that you can say negatively about their success, and that's compare that to their contemporaries of DreamWorks.
Oh boy.
Thank you.
The Croods, not at a.
Well, that movie actually did well, but
HSD student.
not critically though. You know what I mean?
Not critically.
Yeah.
You know.
So, and so right around now, you'll see a lot of bizarre articles come out about how this is the end of Pixar, how this is the one that's not going to work. And these articles are rooted in statistics because no studio has ever put out 20 years worth of movies and never missed, right? So if you want to hedge your bet, you could say this one will be the miss, right? But after WALL-E, I feel like, in some of the other movies they've made, it's just like, these guys can put out the craziest, weirdest shit, and it's just, people are going to see it. They love the brand.
I feel every movie now, there's always an article like, this is the one where they're going to miss, or is this the one they're going to miss? It's like, you just, at this point, you just trust Pixar.
Right, and then you also see
Until
articles...
they do miss, you trust
Right,
Pixar.
and that's where I'm at with them. It's like, you guys miss, then I'm not going to try to predict it. And also, you'll see articles like, Cars was the least successful movie of theirs financially. It's like, yeah, least success, only $500 million worth of domestic ticket sales. Like, fucking,
Damn.
They're gonna have to start selling the silverware in the Pixar cafeteria.
Tough times.
But we're not talking about the state of movie Pixar criticism. We're talking about Inside Out. The earliest announcement I could find for this movie was at the 2011 Disney D23 Expo, where they announced that they would be making a movie called Inside Out. The film is a brainchild of Pete Docter, director of Up and Monsters, Inc., who got the idea from his daughter, who as a kid was very precocious, would run up to people and start talking and, show them that her, spins and, be a goofy kid. But then she turned 11 and, it all started going downhill. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to use a story about, he wanted to tell a story about emotions as characters and combine that with the idea of his daughter hitting a certain age and becoming kind of bummed out.
Also, that sound of someone peeing off the balcony, apparently.
I don't think they peeing. I think they just dumped a bucket of Sprite out.
That was a heavy stream.
That did scare the shit out of me.
I'm guessing Pete Docter probably had a similar experience to this family. Probably,
with his
where
kid.
he's from.
He's from Wisconsin, I think.
So moved to the Midwest to San Francisco, Pixar Studios in Emeryville, California. This is probably a very personal film for Pete Docter.
So the general, we've all seen the trailer, but the general idea is that thematically it's a story about how people change as they grow up. So in the earlier versions of the movie, it was a story about joy and fear. Joy and fear. But then 3 years into production, they realized that it should be joy and sadness, because sadness is an emotion that he was thinking about, regrets in his life, and if it all fell apart now, who would be the people he would hold on to, and it's the people he had been happy and sad with, not the people he had been happy and mad at. So,
You're right.
Interesting.
That makes beautiful sense, actually. So.
Yes.
Matt, are you moved by my words?
Very moved. It's moving me off the couch.
onto the floor. Get up. At one point, there were supposed to be 27 different emotions, but they settled on 5: joy, sadness, disgust, fear, and anger, to make it less complicated.
Could you imagine Robert Altman doing a Pixar movie with a 27
that would
voice
be
cast?
It'd be cool, but also oh boy.
I'm willing to take that risk. Surprise, Pride, and Trust were dropped amongst 27 others, or 24 others by my count. The 5 emotions are based on shape. Joy is a star, sadness is a teardrop, anger is a fire brick, fear is a raw nerve, and disgust is broccoli. Each emotion is made out of particles as opposed to them trying to replicate skin, which apparently was a very difficult process in terms of animation, and the co-director was excited by that decision, but also really, really bummed out by it.
But you gotta take risks, though. You can't just do the same models all the time.
Right, and Pixar is a company that takes a lot of risks. Like when they came up with the idea for Up, and the idea that they'd have 10,000 balloons holding up a house, and you have to animate all of that. They didn't know how to do that. They had to figure it out as they went. So you have to make balloons, and they're translucent, and they have a buoyancy, and they kind of rub against each other, and they pull, and how is the house going to sway? So, they're the kind of company that comes up with an idea and then figures out how to do it.
They actually do a lot of research through their short films that they do before all their movies. Mm-hmm. They say that's where they do a lot of R&D on, how does this effect work? How could this effect work? How do you animate, a cloud? How do you animate a weird trumpet? It's stuff like that.
And that's in typical Disney fashion, because all these people from Pixar, they're plucked from CalArts, and they're all trained in the Disney fashion. That's what they do. In the 30s, Walt Disney was doing shorts and experimenting. Okay, how can we make depth in an animated movie? And they made the multiplane camera. How do we incorporate color? How do we do that? And they just all do their shorts, and then all culminate in Snow White, and then they're pretty much writing the laws of how animation is supposed to go in America. It's very interesting. So Pixar is definitely picking up the slack where Disney was trailing in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Indeed. And in that grand tradition, there will be a short movie in front of this called Lava, which is about volcanoes and takes place over the course of a million years. So,
wow. Really?
So looking forward to that one.
Oh boy.
Doctor said that this is his most challenging film, as there is two parallel but unrelated stories that periodically touch what's going on with Riley and what's going on with her emotions. And he found that very difficult to do. You guys, have you heard of this movie?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Seen the trailer?
Yes.
I saw a sneak preview at Disney World. They showed you, I think, maybe 10 minutes of the movie.
Oh, really? The first 10, or where are we at now?
I think it was a pivotal point. It was a scene in which I'm sure you've seen the trailer where they're all sitting at a dinner table, and you see the emotions of the little girl, you see the emotions of the dad, and you see the emotions of the mom, and it's very fun. You know, they play on the stereotypes of how parents and how kids think, and it was just an extension. That's the word of that scene, and they show you all the fun, goofy things that happen, and then it goes, and then they show you the start of Act 2 where they lose the emotion ball
joy
thing.
and sadness.
Yeah, sadness. They go
Get
through the
sucked
two,
out into a world, if I'm not
and
mistaken.
things are going terrible, and she starts shutting down emotionally because her emotions are going crazy and whatnot. So that's what I saw.
Because
So
it's anger, fear, and disgust controlling her.
and they're behind the helm, to call the shots, and they're making all these mistakes of what they think they should do into a balance. It was a fun scene.
So I'm glad you brought this up, because I feel like when I first saw the trailer for this, I was like, that's a weird range of emotions that are supposed to be encapsulating all of your emotions, because you got on the positive, in terms of positive emotions, you have joy, and then in terms of negative emotions, you have anger, disgust, sadness, and fear, right? So it kind of feels like a 4-to-1 ratio in terms of that. And I was interested when I learned that it was supposed to be 27 originally. I found that interesting. Do you guys think that it's a good...
The only one that seems out of place to me is disgust. I don't feel that's an emotion you feel every single day, but maybe because she is a prepubescent girl, maybe that's something a little more in line with what she would feel on a daily basis. But, we'll see how it integrates in the movie.
Yeah, disgust is a weird emotion to have as a character. I'm sure it probably for more for humor and fun, because obviously joy is a very important emotion. Sadness, sadness and fear kind of, I feel like they could be one. So I think
What? No. Sadness and fear, those are two very different things.
Very different emotions.
all right, I'll concede they're two different emotions.
We won, Kev.
We win.
Changed my
Podcast over.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I just think that it's a weird mix. I mean, I'm obviously we're looking for some emotional truth here. Hey,
All about those emotional truths.
so I mean, I'm sure there's a point to be told here. I don't want to. I've heard some stuff that might be a little bit spoilish. So I'll hold off from that now, and we'll get into that after we see the movie. But I do have faith in Pixar able to pull off this bizarro concept.
I have faith in this cast.
Yes.
I really like the cast.
Yeah, pretty solid, and that's Pixar just making all the right choices. They're picking names, but they're picking names that are good instead of most animated movies where.
What, you didn't think Drake killed it in Ice Age 3 Continental Drift? That's strongly disagree.
I didn't know he was in that.
Nicki Minaj in Ice Age 4.
So that's why,
whatever that was called.
and that's why those movies. I mean, they're still making money, but that's why they're all just giant pieces of garbage, because you're choosing a name just to throw in a movie. I think they put Bruno Mars in that Bird movie.
You have to be more specific with Bird movie.
Rio? Is that the
Rio,
one
there it is.
Yeah.
And you just have names. You have A-list celebrities, and this, you have Amy Poehler, you have Mindy Kaling, you have Bill Hader, you have Louis Black, and
Phyllis Smith,
There it
I believe
is.
her last name is.
yeah, from
The Office.
So you have people who are actually comedians, actually good at what they do, instead of just a name like Drake or Bruno Mars or.
So comedians,
Will I
we're gonna get the Q&A rapid fire later, but the answer to your question, musicians or comedians, you're gonna go with comedians.
Yes,
Okay.
because they.
Musicians or comedians?
On what grounds?
That's just no grounds. It's just animated movie grounds.
Anime movie grounds, comedians.
I guess that's fair.
Although they had, I was going to say Adele Kassim, but that is not her name. Gina Menzel, who is a Broadway actress.
The wickedly talented. That doesn't seem. It's like 2 years later, and I still think that's funny as hell.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. But when she did the voice of Elsa, she didn't really do much acting. She was more singing. So in that case, I would say you want a singer for that role, and not so much an actress, because she didn't really do much acting in that movie. It was more you just need someone with the pipes to do the songs, and there it is. But I'd say if you're doing an animated movie, you want comedians, you want people who are good at what they do.
Indeed. Speaking of good what they do, let's talk Pixar. So a minute ago, you talked about how Walt Disney and his
cronies
basically invented American animation, right? They
wrote the book.
Feature length American.
Yeah, he really pioneered technological breakthroughs in animation. Then in the 80s, Disney got into a very lazy phase where they were kind of making movies that probably to all of us are some of our childhood nostalgic movies, but to the outside world were very lackluster movies. The Great Mouse
Detective?
Yeah, the Mouse Detective.
I would have to say, I wouldn't say they were lazy. They were just putting all their eggs into really big baskets, and they all just failed miserably.
Was Robin Hood in that?
Yes,
mix?
Robin Hood.
That was in the early 70s. You're talking about a period post Walt Disney dying where they're like, "Fuck, I don't know what we're gonna do." Like they did not know. I mean, they had all the animators, and they had a new breed of animators like Don Bluth coming in to kind of resurrect a studio. And
so I'm talking about. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, but a lot of those movies didn't fare so well since they didn't have the leadership that they used to have.
So in the late 70s and early 80s, that is in the early 90s. In the 90s is when they kind of turned it around. But that era is thought of to be a very weak era in terms of Disney's output. So according to Wikipedia, it probably starts with The Rescuers, Fox and the Hound, Black Cauldron, Great Mouse Detective, Who Framed Roger, and then Who Framed Roger Rabbit is probably a higher point. And then Oliver and Company, and then it really turned around with The Little Mermaid. No, they really turned around with Beauty and the Beast.
No, Little Mermaid was a smash.
Was it?
That made tons of money.
So Little Mermaid, then there's DuckTales the movies, Rescuers Down Under, and then Beauty and the Beast. But Beauty and the Beast is when they really turn around the whole position, right? I mean, that movie played at the New York Film Festival, and they just showed the fucking animatics, and people were blown away.
The first animated movie nominated for Best Picture at
right.
the Academy Awards.
So Disney Animation had, they kind of had this weird, rigmarole that went on. And then you have Pixar coming up in the mid-90s, and they, again, a company that pioneered 3D, the first company to do a 3D full-length movie, pioneered 3D animated technology. Why are you looking at me like that?
Nothing.
And then, helmed by John Lasseter and Steve Jobs. What? What's going on here?
I was just thinking about the penis on the Little Mermaid box.
Cut this podcast off. We're going home.
Yeah, and I was thinking about Daniel Tosh's bit about that, where he says, "You try drawing Ariel for 6 months and not put a penis somewhere."
Oh boy,
she's only 16.
I'm sorry, it just made me laugh.
Oh.
You done?
Moving on.
So yeah, they had a really strong period, and then Pixar kind of, they were putting out Pixar's movies. They buy Pixar in what is essentially a reverse acquisition, where they buy Pixar for a lot of money, but then Pixar gets to run Disney Animation. So it's an interesting company, and in the 15 movies that they put out over the years, there's WALL-E, which is ostensibly like an art movie, where no one talks and you're just watching someone do something for, you know what I mean?
Well, for the first part of the movie, but then you
sure, but what movie can say that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a
That's
milestone.
a huge risk for a movie marketed to late 2000s children,
right?
Much less like
where they're like, give me Shrek or fuck off.
Yeah,
they're not a pop culture reference in that besides Hello Dolly.
You know what I mean? Like, the Monsters Inc. is a kids movie about monsters. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of decisions they made that are just very like bold choices, I feel, as a company.
And I was talking with a coworker this week actually, because we're talking about Inside Out, and we were talking about DreamWorks and how DreamWorks movies are very like kind of the time. They have sort of, these A-list actors of the time. They're kind of uninspired stories. They're just generic kids tropes. And we felt it really benefits Pixar because it pushes Pixar to really go into their brain trust, think about these really bold concepts, and then just really stake their claim. Like, it keeps them creatively sharp so that they don't fall into that DreamWorks trap of, like, we're just kind of churning these out.
Right.
You know?
And they also have the Disney machine to help keep it all relevant. You know, like, you make a movie, the movie becomes part of the Carnival Cruise, the movie becomes part of the park, the movie becomes part of you as a person, as your childhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way that other studios can't touch.
Yeah, I think DreamWorks, all they got is, in terms of commercial tie-in, is the Minions, which...
That's not DreamWorks. That's Universal.
Well, DreamWorks and Universal are kind of... It's like the Disney and Pixar. I mean...
No. DreamWorks is teamed up with Fox now, and Fox distributes all of their movies.
Okay. But Minions is DreamWorks.
Nope.
What? I am out of touch.
I thought it was DreamWorks too. Let's take a look at this. Pause for Wikipedia confirmation.
Universal Pictures, Illumination Entertainment.
Okay.
And Illumination Entertainment has only done Despicable Me 2, and Minions.
Okay.
We could do a whole nother podcast on them. They spend a lot less money than everyone else.
Okay, I'll say then Shrek is what I must be referring to.
Right. So there's the players in the animated game. There's Fox Animation, DreamWorks Animation, Blue Sky Animation. What's this shit called again? Illumination Entertainment, Pixar, Disney Animation, and then every other Bobo company that just we're
I want to throw Leica out there. Leica Animation, quite great.
What do they do?
Coraline, Paranorman, and the Box Trolls.
Oh yeah. They're very.
Yeah, they're very boutique studio, shall we say? Very small studio based out of Portland.
Yeah, and they don't give a fuck. They're like, I saw a roundtable that the True Hollywood Reporter put out, and he's like, I don't care about sequels, I don't care about remakes, I care about making artistic movies, I don't give a shit. And it's like, damn, fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
And all three of their movies, Coraline's a great start, Paranorman and the Box Trolls, fantastic little films. Cannot wait to see what they have coming up next.
Indeed.
They're getting up there with Pixar in terms of their quality output. Can they stay consistent?
And will they make sequels?
Probably not.
Box Trolls 2. The Legends of the Box Trolls 2.
I'd go see it. It wouldn't be as good as Box Trolls, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. So, not to shit all over here, Matt, but you can't be coming at me with lies.
I'm not trying to perpetuate the lies.
No,
I just figured it was when I see movies, it's weird because when I think of anime movies that are not Pixar, I automatically assume that they're all just DreamWorks.
Well, it's funny because people do that and they assume everything that's good is Pixar and everything that's princess is Disney and everything that's lame is everyone else. You know what I mean? So it's like, people are like, oh, I love Shrek. I love Pixar, and it's like, no, that's DreamWorks, and it's they got a good reputation. It's weird. Like there's like 3 brands in movie making, right? There's Steven Spielberg, Disney, Star Wars. 5. Marvel and Pixar. So half of them are Disney owned. They're winning movies, guys. They're winning movies.
Hey, they're coming out ahead.
Stack the deck.
They are on top of the wheel right now. Mm-hmm. But that wheel keeps spinning, folks.
The wheel in the sky.
The wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
Save it for the Journey podcast.
Talking serious Journey Jibber Jabber.
Mm-hmm.
Triple J. Pete Docter, what do we think about that guy?
Has made some fine work with Pixar.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go ahead and say
in that kind of that Pixar brain of like all their great ideas.
Up might be the best movie of all time. Like the first 5 minutes of Up is better than the best hour of anything else. You know what I mean? Like
all time, or are you talking about of Pixar?
All time. Like that. The beginning of Up is a more emotionally involved movie than like almost any other movie I could possibly think of.
It's
like,
pretty great.
That first segment is funny, heartbreaking, devastating. Like when I saw that movie, I'd like if it just said leave your wallet on the seat and exit the theater, I would have done it. Like that first 5 minutes was incredible.
If I wasn't with two male friends, I would have been a blubbering mess. I had to save face in front of my homies.
Yep. Got to save face in front of the homies.
I almost got to meet Doug and Russell at Disney World, but did not want to wait in that 30-minute line. So
who? Oh, the dog.
The dog and the chubby little.
That dog, dude.
kid.
That dog, so good.
It was really good. And also,
Hi there.
Yeah,
and,
so good.
when their little alternate reality of him falling from the house because they're going through the storm, and then they cut to it actually happened. That was probably the best moment of that movie.
So,
but I would say that I would of all the Pixar movies, I would pick Ratatouille as the best Pixar movie.
we'll get there, homie. We'll get there.
Just saying.
We'll get there. But yeah, Up. I mean that. So coming off of Up, that was his last thing to my knowledge. I have a lot of faith that he could take this, what I think is a kind of a weird concept, and really make it good. You know what I mean?
And he made Monsters Inc. Up. Did he do Wall-E?
No.
Was that Andrew Stanton? Somebody
I
else?
forget. I want to say it's Ben Burt, but I think he just did.
He did the voice.
He
of
just did
Wall-E.
Wall-E. I don't think he had anything to do with the actual making of it.
He was the voice and did a lot of the sound effects.
Hold, please.
Well, one thing with Pixar, not to keep on touting them as the best, but they are the best in the animation studio, is that they keep on making relevant movies versus DreamWorks, which will make a movie that has a bunch of pop culture references of the time. And
Well, I mean, I don't think. Go ahead.
and when you look at a movie like Up or Ratatouille, these themes, the things they're dealing with, are very universal. The jokes are very relevant, and they keep on staying relevant. Versus if you watch Madagascar, they're just this is hot in the street. I think one of the this anime movie had the Korean pop star, whatever, Psy, and it
You instantly date yourself.
yeah, like you're just nailing a nail in the coffin of dating oneself. Versus when you watch Ratatouille.
Listen, totally fine with your opinion. Opinion on animated things, totally, that's fine. But I just have to play devil's advocate. And I'm not, I do feel like Pixar makes a lot of movies more for children than they do for like families. But I will put over Kung Fu Panda, Flushed Away, Over the Hedge, all the Wallace and Gromit things that they distributed. How to Train Your Dragon 1 is a fucking phenomenal movie.
Disagree.
How dare you fucking disagree with me?
That is some straight up stretch and squash animation. Totally garbage.
What Matt has said is factually inaccurate and will be proven not true at a later date. Come on. First, listen, homie, if you didn't like that movie, that's one thing.
It was animated with
wait.
fucking silly putty.
Wait a minute.
It was terrible.
Wait 1 minute. You didn't like that movie?
Did not like it.
Animation squish and splash like this motherfucker's talking about?
Compared to anything Pixar put out, yes.
You guys are crazy. And I will say the Penguins movie, the Penguins Madagascar movie, which is a spin-off of the Madagascar movies, is ridiculously entertaining. For what it is. Very good.
I saw Kung Fu Panda in theaters, enjoyed it. I was drunk.
You still enjoyed it. So I'm saying a lot of people say that like dismiss them for making a bunch of crap, but it's not. There are good gems in here. Just some of the movies are like Puss in Boots is not a movie for 30-year-old men. You know what I mean? Now, to play devil's advocate to my devil's advocate, Pixar makes a movie for the whole family. I think DreamWorks sometimes is content to just take like kids' money. You know what I mean?
They're gonna get the adult money anyway, so they're just like whatever.
Right, exactly. Whereas like I will go see every Pixar movie in the theater at this point. Whereas like DreamWorks, it's like I gotta like kind of pick and choose. But I don't think it's fair to say that they're just like terrible, because they're not terrible. They do make some good movies.
They do what they do, but nobody's gonna have Kung Fu Panda 2 on their shelf in 20 years. Toy Story will be on every family's shelf 20 years from now.
DreamWorks.
It is 20 years since Toy Story.
DreamWorks movies make you cry. That's the ultimate test.
No movies make me cry. So
Just
in that case, all movies are not good.
do you have a soul?
I do.
Smokey has never cried ever.
That's not true, but it's been a while. I was a baby once.
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 What?
My mom has shot me.
All right, so let's move away from burning bridges. What'd you say?
Come on. My mother shot me once.
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 So let's move away from burning bridge and animated movies.
Let's talk about Johnny Dangerously.
Talk about Johnny Dangerously. Johnny Dangerously is a movie that.
It's actually quite awful when I rewatched it, but it has some good moments.
Also, I think you're gonna regret talking shit on DreamWorks when you pitch your animated movie, when you bring it out there on the studio game, and then you're like, oh yeah, you guys are great, and then they cite this as an example. We'll see what happens.
We will see.
See what happens.
Love you, Katzenberg. Do we want to talk? We want to gush more about Pixar? Or are we going to get into rapid fire?
I mean, it's kind of an anecdote about because Katzenberg used to be part of the Disney Animation Studio.
He did.
And
Famously left with to make DreamWorks.
And so then you have the rivalry between DreamWorks and
Pixar
and Disney, and then of course Steve Jobs being the colossal asshole that he is. It's like, you're gonna go against me? I will fucking bury you, and they did.
Yeah, he's I do respect Steve Jobs. He was crazy.
Jobs didn't even code.
Nope,
they didn't need to.
And I mean, for a while, DreamWorks gave Pixar a run for their money when Bugs Life and Ants came out in the same year, and everyone liked Ants a lot more than Bugs Life, which is very strange. And then the Shrek movies were becoming increasingly popular too, but then eventually
their early run was interesting because it went Ants, Prince of Egypt, Road to El Dorado, Chicken Run, Shrek, Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, Sinbad, Shrek 2, Shark Tale, Madagascar. And around Shark Tale and Madagascar is when they started finding their
Shark Tale was like we got a little late to the game on trying to beat Nemo to the release date, and
but they made a movie that a lot of people enjoyed. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then you see kind of a good chunk of movies that people in the mid 2000s they were kind of hitting their stride. You know what I mean? You got like Shark's Tale, Madagascar, Wallace and they distributed Wallace and Gromit, Over the Hedge, Fleshed Away, again distributed that. Shrek the Third, B movie. You know, these are movies that people liked at the time. You know what I mean?
I would disagree on B movie. That was
I had a lot of people who had some shade for B movies.
Sure.
I'll be throwing.
But
shit for
150 million, then 300 million. I mean, you make it double your money. You know what I mean?
I thought that
toys.
I thought this didn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all about what you like. But I'm just saying.
I'm just teasing.
We can, just to be fair, we're all adult males, right? Talking about, we're talking about animated children's movies. So I'm trying to put a little context on this fucker, and no one's talking shit on Minions, so I don't have to defend them.
No,
They're adorable. They're adorable.
They are annoying little assholes. Speaking some
now who doesn't have a soul?
goddamn gibberish language, get them out of here, along with those kid actors. Just put them in a ship, send them away.
Send them to the ocean, sinking halfway. All right, do you want to get in rapid fire here?
Rapid fire.
I'm
all fired up.
This fucking episode. We rambled for 40 minutes. All right, Lasseter or Katzenberg?
Lasseter.
Yeah, Lasseter. Has to be.
Dude's a genius.
He's a genius, and he has a train in his backyard. Not a toy train, a legitimate
In
train.
true Disney fashion.
He's best friends with Hayao Miyazaki, the greatest animator who ever lived.
All right, Woody or Buzz?
Buzz.
Cars ride, best ride in Disneyland, or best ride just in California Adventure?
I haven't ridden it. It's
I don't know. I kind of like California Screaming better.
I was gonna say California Screaming is a great.
That is not an option. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's best in California Adventure because the Indiana Jones ride and Star Tours are, I think, I like a little bit better than them.
I haven't been on the revamped Star Tour.
Oh, it's so
Is
much.
it good?
It's so good.
All right.
It's great. It branches, so you could get different.
Ooh.
So there's different openings, different second things, different third. Best. Oh, Disneyland or Disney World?
Disneyland.
Disney World.
Never been to Disney World. Gonna have to go to Disneyland.
Too cute.
What if I said Knott's Farm? It'd be a lie. Best Disney acquisition: Pixar, Marvel, or Lucasfilm?
Oh, jeez.
Think about it. Don't
Like my personal preference, or you think that they're
Your
the smartest idea?
whatever makes sense to you.
Lucasfilm. They already had him in their
I
pocket.
think ultimately it's gonna be Lucasfilm.
I think Pixar because I think that's what changes their dynamic of the company.
Man, that's a tough pick, though. I mean, that is 3 huge moneymakers. There's people estimating Episode 7 is going to make $1.5 billion.
I don't doubt it. That shit's going to be off the chain.
And more importantly, it does look like a good Star Wars movie.
If it lives up to that, it's going to make all the money.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, We
gonna make every money.
Is it fair to say this is not a Star Wars episode, but is it fair to say that we all saw the Star Wars prequels opening weekend?
Oh yeah.
No. Okay. Episode 3, I saw opening day.
Yeah.
I was
the other two were DVD.
opening day every single one.
No.
Yeah. So think about how much money that made. And those were all terrible. Think about how much money it'd make if it was good.
Yep.
Think about it. Or don't. Who cares?
$1 jillion.
Toy Story 4. Are you down?
Interested?
I still need to see 2 and 3, but I'm interested.
I'm not interested.
You have not seen Toy Story 2 or 3.
I've not seen 3. We'll get into that.
I haven't
We'll
seen
get
Toy
into that.
Story since it came out on VHS in '96.
All right, back to this. Brave or Mulan?
Brave.
Yeah, Brave. It has to be Brave.
No Eddie Murphy.
Up, best movie of all time?
No.
No.
I'm gonna say maybe. It might be. I'd be willing to hear other arguments.
The
But it could
correct
be.
answer is Seven Samurai. Which was
No talking dog in Seven Samurai.
which was remade by Pixar in the form of A Bug's Life. A Bug's Life is a Seven Samurai remake.
No talking dog.
In the same way Barbed Wire is essentially Casablanca.
Yeah.
we should
Let's make sure we're on the same page here.
Also, what do you guys think about doing a season where we all pick a movie and watch the original one and then the remake that's not really a remake? Barbed Wire and Casablanca.
I'm not picking that one. Fuck no. It's interesting.
Who did it better?
Who wore it better? Barbed Wire.
Humphrey Bogart or Pam Anderson?
I would be interested in that. Just that'd be an interesting concept. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do what this movie. Obviously, the thing's gonna be Pixar movies. You tell me if you've seen it. If you've seen it, what you think. If you have not seen it, just say I haven't seen it. And we're gonna do them in order.
Oh boy.
Toy Story.
Revolutionary, great film.
It was good.
I don't like the idea of toys being sad.
What?
I just don't like that idea.
I don't like it, guys.
I mean, it's a good movie, but I just think that's a bummer to me. So I have mixed emotions on that movie.
they have mixed emotions. They're sentient beings.
Yes. And
Yeah, I just don't know how I feel about that.
They're
Aw.
outgrown and abandoned.
Lonely toys, like that's just a bummer. Anyways, moving on. Bugs Life.
Great little film. Like I said, clever remake of Seven
alright.
Samurai.
Yeah, I think it's a solid movie. Good stuff. Toy Story 2.
Pixar's funniest movie overall.
Toy Story 2?
Yes. Top to bottom.
I've never seen it.
I don't like the idea of toys being sad.
It's going to come back to Toy Story 3 because I know you're going to have a lot to say about that.
I just think top to bottom, best jokes overall.
Also, interestingly, I saw that in a Spanish class for the first time I saw it was in Spanish,
Oh, really?
dubbed. So saw it in Spanish dubbed, and I think I saw it later in English. So
Okay.
Interesting.
Monsters Inc.
Really good.
Love it.
Great movie, right?
Great.
Just so solid. Finding Nemo. What?
I was say an animation on Sully. Just
Oh, yeah.
that was revolutionary. All
yeah, the
hair.
fur. Yeah, it
Oh
looked,
my
and it
God.
looked so soft.
All the different monster designs.
Yeah.
Great.
Great cast. Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo.
Like it, I think it's been a little overplayed.
Nah, I'm not really a big fan of it.
I liked it. It was good. Incredibles.
Pixar's best film.
I have a story. When I worked at a computer store, and the display movie shelf, they would have this movie, The Incredibles, Men in Black 2, and Mr. Deeds all playing on a loop. So naturally, I did not like The Incredibles because of overkill. I'm sure if I watched it again, it's been about 10 years since that happened. If I watched it again, I'd probably enjoy it. But
I think it was. I think that's probably next to Up my second favorite Pixar movie.
I think
I really loved it.
Brad Bird is a brilliant director.
Kind of. You can read that movie in a very negative way.
You can.
You can. You know what I mean? You can read it as like, not everyone's special. Maybe it's not you. You know what I mean?
Some have said this is an animated retelling of Watchmen.
It's-
comic.
I'd have to
A
look.
loose retelling, but a retelling.
I'd have to reread Watchmen and then rewatch this movie to figure that out. So perhaps at a later date. Cars.
Good for what it was. Not great.
surprisingly good. I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it.
Despite being in love with this ride, I've never seen this movie. So
Paul Newman's
figure that one out, guys.
Paul Newman's final role.
And he loved automobile racing.
Yeah, he did.
Ratatouille.
Brilliant.
Great.
Totally great. Also, again, the idea of a rat cooking, that's a bad idea on paper, right? If you said, hey, we're going to make this movie, it's about a cartoon rat that cooks in a 5-star French restaurant, you'd be like, that's a bad idea. Rats and restaurants don't mix. But execution, perfect.
And this was a movie that had a lot of pre-production issues. They had a director change, they had a lot of script changes, and it still turned out great.
Yeah, Pixar, quick aside, they do replace. They're not afraid to replace directors on things.
Yeah, if it's not working.
But they also will give the director the final cut. So it's like it's kind of like if you're not in line with us, you're gone. But if you're in line with us, we'll trust you with everything.
Yep.
The whole pie.
Very interesting.
Wally.
Brilliant.
It's great. Yeah.
I think a lot darker than people remember.
Never seen Wally.
Man, dude.
Up.
Great. Absolute tearjerker. Emotionally powerful story.
Very emotional. No, it's great. I liked it.
Might be the best movie of all time. I'd seriously consider it. Toy Story 3.
I don't think so.
One of their funniest movies. I think the funniest sequence Pixar has ever done is in Toy Story 3, and that is when Mr. Potato Head attaches himself to a tortilla. I was dying of laughter.
I've never seen it.
I was working at a movie theater when this movie came out, so I could have seen it for free. But I don't like the idea of toys being sad, so I did not see it.
That ending is devastating in Toy Story 3.
Spoilers for Toy Story 3. You're talking about when they all hold hands and wait for death.
There's that, and then when Andy gives the toys away, girl reaches for Woody, and he kind of pulls back.
He's like, "Don't touch me."
Yeah, well, don't take Woody. You know? But it's when he finally gives him up. That is a very powerful script. I think.
Indeed.
And yeah, when they're like, "We ride together, we die together," man,
Yeah.
right in the heart.
Toys looking at death right in the face. Cars 2.
The only Pixar movie I have not seen.
I have not seen it either.
Another Pixar movie that I have not seen. Brave.
Underrated. Enjoyed it quite a
Yeah,
bit.
it was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it is underrated. I think a lot of people wanted to shit on this movie again. You know, people were negatively talking about it, like, "Oh, this is a girls' movie. They're making Pixar's a boys' club," and it's like, no, dude, it's good. Also, when the little brothers turn to bears, hilarious.
Yep.
The Weasleys.
Monsters University.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it's great. I enjoyed it a lot.
Also didn't see this movie.
I think, people knocked on Monsters University because it wasn't up to like Up or The Incredibles or something like that. These guys, sometimes you just gotta make a comedy. It's a straight comedy. It's Animal House with monsters. And I just found it very funny. Yeah, it's not as emotional as Up or Toy Story 3, but it's a funny movie. It's a college movie with monsters.
Okay, so then that concludes What This Movie, and now we start What This Movie Feature Edition. So these are movies that Pixar has announced that they're going to make. Who knows if they're actually ever come out? Probably the first one we're going to talk about is because they released a trailer for it. But just tell me if you're interested in this movie, yay or nay. We can elaborate if you want. First movie, The Good Dinosaur.
Interested.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm totally interested in that. Finding Dory.
I'm having a hard time getting excited for this.
Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to it.
Dory-
Yeah, I'm not sure I care.
Dory was just not that deep a character in Finding Nemo, and I just don't know how they're gonna make a whole movie around her.
Right. Toy Story 4.
Oop. Don't mind that, folks. Yeah, I'd be interested to see where they can take it.
Yeah, apparently they're starting a new adventure with the toys. I'm glad they're not trying to extend this thing they already have going. So
Not trying to Peter Jackson it.
Exactly.
Yeah, the rumors are it's going to be a reboot in terms of a new story, but in the same universe as Toy Story. And John Lasseter's coming back to the fold. So these are all very interesting things. But guys, I just don't like the idea of toys being sad. So I don't know if I can watch this movie.
Oh boy.
Untitled Dia de los Muertos movie.
I feel like this has been in development for a while,
have
and I
no
have not
idea.
heard anything about it. But the concept intrigues me.
And Book of Life that Fox put out, I believe through Fox Animation, did not do great. But it's kind of, I feel like this might be a Godzilla Pacific Rim kind of a thing, where Pacific Rim comes out, people don't know what to make of it, and then Godzilla comes out and everyone wants to go see it because they saw Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
So, I think one guy something like
We'll see.
What do you think?
I haven't heard anything about this movie. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Well, does that idea appeal to you? Come on.
Maybe.
An animated movie that deals directly with like death. Interested.
Except for Toy Story 3, where a bunch of toys held hands and admit they're never fate. Incredibles 2.
I mean, interested, especially because Brad Bird's coming back.
Nah, not so much.
I'm really excited for this one. I think that one will be a lot of fun. Cars 3.
Not interested. Not excited.
Not too interested.
Hey, if it's a good story, I'll go see it.
I gotta see Cars 2 first.
I need
Big fan of that ride. Don't know if I mentioned that. So, and then there's 2 other movies that are coming out that there's no information about. So I don't really want to talk about it at this juncture because what we'd be saying.
Untitled Pixar project.
Yeah, Untitled Pixar projects. They come out in the middle, I think, between Toy Story 4 and Dia de los Muertos.
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 Dia de los Muertos.
Didn't do too good in that Spanish class in high school. All right, so that wraps it up for this movie. We'll go watch it.
Yeah, here we go. Let's do it.
So we're back.
Oh boy.
Inside Out.
Yeah. Oh, you want our thoughts?
Nope. All right. So we'll start as we always do. Where and when did you see this movie, Matt?
Oh, I saw it Thursday night at the ArcLight Pasadena to a very small crowd. I'm talking maybe 20 people in the theater.
What time was it?
7:30. It was. I think people didn't really know. People didn't think they can go see it a day early, but being how we live in LA, that they'll just show.
It's a weird thing, and this is to tangent right out the gate. It's a weird thing of like they used to have the Thursday at midnight showings where they technically started at 12:01, and then now I like how they're getting to Thursday in the middle of the evening 7:30 shows of the first one. So we saw Mad Max, me and Kev.
As a working adult, I prefer that to the midnight shows.
Indeed.
When I was a wild high school kid, I would go to midnight shows all the time.
when I was a mild high school kid, couldn't do that because I didn't want to be tired for school and I couldn't miss school or whatever. And then as a college kid, people weren't that into movies, so we did it for like the Star Wars movies. But I wanted to do it for everything. Cloverfield, all of it.
Why?
Well, the trailer, homie. Anyways, so yeah, it's a practical thing. But I wonder how long until we get the Wednesday opening.
I'll be all about it.
All about it. Wednesday at noon. I'll be there.
I figured because a movie essentially is locked in and they're ready to go. So what's another day? You get more money out of it.
Potentially. I mean, that's the idea, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm all for it. I don't want to go see it on a Friday night with a bunch of sniveling kids. I want to go see it on a Thursday night with half those.
Well, go back to our topic here. So a lot of kids in the showing, a lot of families,
There were some families.
Single creepy dudes or what?
No, there's no pedos in the crowd, so that was good. There was a couple couples. There's families. A lady opening up a picnic basket and fumbling around with a plastic bag for about 5 minutes.
For the record, I'm pro picnic basket, anti plastic bag.
Just put it in a Tupperware container. It's cool. Don't need that.
Tupperware, guys.
So yeah, that's where I saw it. 7:30 Thursday night, day before it opened.
Kev?
Saw it with you at the Culver City ArcLight, 9 a.m. this morning.
This morning being Saturday morning.
Saturday, June 20th?
June 20th.
June 20th.
Hot as balls today. If you can hear the air conditioning on this, I don't apologize. It is very hot in Los Angeles and it's very uncomfortable. So, might have a slight hum in the background. I've called attention to it now. All your comments can be reached at Speaking Cinema on Twitter. Thank you, Kevin.
Squash it.
So we went together.
Yes, we did.
My girlfriend came.
Yes.
Our screening was, I'd say, 2 or 3 families, 2 or 3 couples, and maybe 1 or 2 random guys, and then us.
Yep. It was pretty, not full screening.
Pretty sparse.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't like going to opening weekend cartoon or kid movie screenings because they tend to be full of annoying kids who walk and talk.
Imagine
and
that.
Fidgety and all
Only one little girl in our screening was a little fidgety. She not to spoil anything, but there's a sad moment in this movie where she said, "That's sad."
I feel like I had someone say that's sad too.
Well, that moment, and we'll get to that moment in a minute.
Holy shit.
hang tight.
Yeah, hang tight. But yeah, I don't disagree with her, but I wanted to politely tell her to shut the fuck up.
But she had a good parent.
She had a good parent. Parent on top of it, yeah.
Took her to the side, calmed her down a little bit.
So good screening, also hilarious. And I don't know, a lot of people listen to this podcast, but in LA, there's a new movement towards it's kind of firmly in place of assigned seats. Great movement. Second movement is towards, in terms of movie theaters, in terms of boozy screenings. So the ArcLight, the guy comes out and he says, "Welcome to this movie. It runs this long. I'll be here to check this sound." And then at the Culver City ArcLight, you're allowed to drink in any theater. They have a bar there.
Anytime, any theater.
And it's mostly beer. And so the guy was like, if you have any spirits or whatever, please leave your glass cups in the thing. And it's like, it's a 9 a.m. screening. Like, is your bar even open?
I probably would have had a drink.
You would have been a guy drinking at the 9 a.m. showing of Inside Out. This is the backdoor pilot to our speaking
because
intervention podcast.
Speaking
because you can, I would.
Yeah, it's my constitutional right as an American. Goddammit.
It is not, but so both of you would have drinking a beer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At a 9 a.m. screening.
Yeah.
Nah, maybe a moment.
All right. Well, we're just gonna have to move on from this because.
All right. Keep it moving.
So we're gonna go. We're gonna start with something else here because we saw this movie in the theater, and part of the theater going experience is trailers. When you go to the ArcLight, the trailers, there's 3 trailers, sometimes 4, but usually 3, and then you're straight into the movie.
And no commercials.
No commercials, no ads for anything.
None of that bullshit.
None of that bullshit. At the Regal, and I used to live downtown, the Regal, we would go to it every Tuesday to see a movie, literally, and I literally would time this 30 minutes of trailers at a minimum.
Like, I'm already paying for a movie. Why am I paying for commercials?
Well, if the ticket price is lower, I'd happily have commercials, but whatever. So I want to talk about some of these fucking trailers really quick. There was a trailer for The Good Dinosaur, obviously another Pixar movie coming out this year. Looked great, the teaser. We talked about that in the Jurassic Park episode. To recap really quickly, I'd say it's fair to say that we all think that is a interesting looking trailer for an interesting looking movie, right?
Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Then there was Underdogs, which is a Weinstein movie about soccer. What was that game called?
Foosball.
Foosball. Wooden
that's what it's
characters
called.
that come to life and help a city win their city back through a soccer tournament.
By essentially cheating because these little wooden guys like control the soccer ball during the game. Apparently, it really. I mean, there wasn't a lot of people in our screening, admittedly, but the vibe soured with that trailer. Boy,
it really bummed people out.
They were reaching.
Did you see this trailer?
Oh yes. Oh, yeah.
And
So terrible.
I don't want to. I mean, obviously we haven't seen it yet, but a trailer is a trailer is a commercial. It's a form of marketing, and mission not accomplished, guys. And also it's clearly not an American movie. It's clearly I want to assume European in a different language, and it's dubbed, and the mouths don't. They didn't redo the mouths.
they didn't try at all.
It does not look good. I should say now I was very tired for this screening. It was 9 a.m, and this I was like, this is a bad omen. This fucking trailer.
It's funny because I thought it was a DreamWorks movie just because the way it was presented and the terribleness of the quality. I mean, the animation was, capable, but the dubbing was. Like, they're making references to Twitter. I'm like, you instantly dated yourself with that. Like, what do you
really hate these fucking pop culture references?
When you
they date you hardcore.
Yeah. And then when you put it against a Pixar movie, that shit is gonna keep going and going and going and not feel dated at all. So, hey,
yes,
they're terrible. So I took exception to that trailer because it looked absolute garbage.
Also, I believe we covered this in the last podcast, but the upcoming. And I'm surprised actually we didn't see the trailer for this. So Kung Fu Panda 3 is the next DreamWorks movie, which actually has a funny teaser trailer.
Well, that's like what?
I have not watched that.
It's almost 7 months out. I'm sure they don't have everything they need quite yet.
What are we talking about?
To see a trailer for Kung Fu Panda.
It already launched.
It's online.
It's online.
Oh.
I haven't watched it.
Okay, whatever. Moving on. Shaun of the Sheep, cute claymation movie. Dig that shit.
Nice to see Aardman back.
Yeah,
I
back.
like Aardman animation.
Also, I'm gonna put over the movie Fleshed Away. And basically everything that they've ever done with Wallace and Gromit, genius movies.
I didn't see this.
And Chicken Run.
I've never seen Chicken Run.
You've never seen Chicken Run.
Yep.
That's a fantastic little film.
Maybe next time.
Fantastic.
We'll do it. We haven't done a claymation movie for our animation segment.
That would be a good one.
This being our second animated movie on this podcast, so maybe that'll come up in the future. Maybe. Okay, so this movie. We're not even with the movie yet. We're now past the trailers. Now we're into Lava, which was the short that we alluded to earlier in front of this movie, which is about. To summarize, it's about a lonely volcano who looks at apparently who spends his time all day wishing for love and singing about it and watching turtles and dolphins and whales and egrets kind of watches their romances and wishes for love, and then he starts to wither away, and his lava supply gets lower and lower. Underneath the water, there's a lady volcano who listens to his songs. There's some tectonic shit goes down. She rises out of the ocean, faces the wrong way, can't see him. He starts to drown in his own tears, as the song explicitly says. About this time, I was reaching for some sharp object, perhaps my keys, to slip my wrist, and then through the power of love.
He rises again.
That's where you're supposed to sing the power of love.
Oh.
But through the power of love.
Power of love.
That's the power of love.
I can't sing it as well as he can.
Huey Lewis.
So he rises up too, and then they become a joint island and kind of hang out.
And this is all scored to a nice little ukulele and vocal performance.
Where the word love is replaced with lava.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think about this?
Yeah, it was cute, but it did get a little repetitious with the song. I didn't love the song, but when you watch an animated Pixar short, or a Disney short for that matter, that's when they try out their new technology. So I was more interested in seeing what technology, whether it was a different rendering software or something, some other innovation they're trying to do. That's what I was more interested in.
There's a really cool effect where they did this night and day shift, where
The time lapse?
The time lapse.
That was it. I like that.
Where you went from night to dusk to day to dawn to clouds covering and all that stuff, like, really quickly. That looked really good.
And
lot of big
to show,
scale.
like, hundreds of years of erosion in a very short amount of time. And yeah, the cloud animation was stunning.
Putting over that cloud animation.
They
Love it.
Spared no
Love it.
expense on the cloud animation.
Kev, your thoughts?
I enjoyed this. This is one of my favorite new little Pixar shorts, and I think it's amazing how much emotion and story they can tell in like 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because this is the prime example of Pixar's 5 minutes devastated. Well, in 5 minutes they could just bum you the fuck out. And when he was drowning in his old tears, like, I wanted to leave. I'm like, I just don't want to do this today anymore. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's the context I saw the movie, the Inside Out in, which is like, I just can't fucking, like, I don't want to, like, what are you guys doing to me? You guys are such bastards.
It's a rough 1-2 punch.
It's so, it is.
But Lava is a very, I thought it was an effective little story.
It's beautiful, and also, I would argue, mean-spirited.
The typical Disney Pixar fashion. They will build you up and they will knock you right down.
It's a problem I have with Pixar, where it's like, you guys are so good at making movies that I almost want you to be a little bit worse at it. Like, because it's too much.
Give it all to me.
I can't. I almost can handle
all your
this.
tears. I'll take all the heartbreak. I'll take it all.
I will rise to that level.
This is the first time I've ever said something like this. When the mountain was so sad that he drowned in his own tears, I wanted to cry. It was oh man,
goddamn heartbreaking.
It was so good. Listen, it's great. It's achievement of movie making. There's no doubt. I'm just saying, god damn you guys. Fucking, can we get some yucks in here, you sons of bitches? Jesus.
No time for yucks.
Best Pixar short, Jackalope.
That one was really good. Yeah.
I never saw that one. I saw Paperman, but I don't know if that was Pixar. Or
Yeah, that was Disney.
I like that one. It's just cute.
And the birds on the wire, adorable.
All right. Those are all fair statements. They have made other shorts that are I feel like the Disney shorts are more just wacky kids kind of bullshit, which I'm totally down for. I think the one in front of Frozen was like a 2D, 3D like mix where, you know, like Bluto and Mickey are coming out of the screen and into the. I mean, I don't know, maybe that wasn't Frozen, but
I never saw that one.
Which one have you seen that? Because we saw the Frozen one before Cinderella, which was, you know,
yeah, nothing
whatever.
special.
What was that one?
I'm just saying.
Is that before the Avengers?
No, there's no short in front of the Avengers.
They
They only do shorts in front of animated shit. It's irrelevant.
Okay, it's whatever.
The point is that I think we could all agree, or maybe not. I will say this is it was just too much for me, but it was good though.
I liked it a lot.
I enjoyed it.
Okay, so now we're now at minute 15. We're actually about to start the movie. To recap, I want to leave. Kevin is stoked. Matt, you were at this point
I was in a good mood.
in a good mood. Okay, so a real
Lava tears got me jacked. I was excited.
Just let me drink those lava tears. Oh boy.
Okay, so Inside Out. That's our main event here. Does someone want to recap what happens in this movie very quickly, succinctly?
Okay. I will attempt this. Young Riley and her emotions. Oh, I guess her emotions live inside her, obviously. But the main arc of the story is that she moves from Minnesota to San Francisco, and the story chronicles her trials and tribulations, dealing with her emotions, going through emotional withdrawals, if you will.
When they moved to San Francisco. In the process of doing this, it's a very emotional. It's a very emotional process. Her emotions, sadness and joy, get lost in her brain, leaving only disgust, anger, and fear to rule over her. And then over the course of essentially 2 or 3 days, right? Because she sleeps I think twice in this movie. She tries to run away from home until she figures out that this is not what she wants to do. She comes home, and we all live happily ever after.
It's tricky because you're juggling essentially 2 stories.
Right. There's a whole. The emotions go on a whole like Lord of the Rings style running across a continent story of her brain, where they go from her memories to her imagination to her subconscious, her dreams. That one room. What was that one room again?
The abstract thought.
Her abstract thought room. So they go all over the place while she just goes from school to home to school to a hockey practice back home, and then tries to run away on a bus. Gets off the bus right before it hits the 880 freeway,
onto the Bay Bridge.
Walks back home, and then tells her parents that that she's not the happy girl that they thought she was. She's very bummed out. They say that's okay, and then we end up teasing the idea of maybe her going through some further pubescent changes.
Well, the ultimate moral is that as you grow, you can have these. They literally show mixed emotions.
Yes,
because sadness and joy learn to work together, and then whenever they create
big reveal in this movie.
Yes, whenever a new memory is created, there's these little orbs, and in her brain, there are all these single-colored orbs, and it matches the color of each character. And yeah, part of growing up and being an adult is that. You can have that mix of happy, sad, anger, fear, happy, disgust, or...
Right, whatever. Any combination of them.
Yeah, because when you're little, you kind of look at it as everything is kind of black and white with your emotions. A lot of time when you're a kid, you're very happy, and then all of a sudden you'll be very sad. You're never really both, because your mind hasn't evolved to such a way that you can process things as being... You can be angry and also another emotion. And happy and sad, you mix them all together.
And there's an interesting. This movie is essentially a adventure movie between 2 emotions as they run through this wacky cartoon world. But there is a lot of profound. I'm not going to say deep, but profound statements on emotion, right? So, for example, the emotions live in her in the headquarters in her brain, and there's 5. What do they call them? Key memories or core memories, and they're all from her childhood. And the part of the plot of this movie is that those fall out of their container and get lost, right? And then in the end of the movie, she creates a new core memory. So the movie is all about how you change as you grow up and how things change. So there's a very poignant scene where there's a happy memory, and it's a glowing orange orb, which is like the happy color. And the way it's like a fucking Apple device where you touch the edge of it and you can kind of like fast forward and rewind. And as she rewinds it, it turns blue. So it's like this is the first time where it's like this memory is a sad memory that turns into a happy memory. So it could be both. And the girl's like 11 years old, about to hit puberty. So it's like an interesting thing in terms of like child development, right? It's like you see the world as black and white when you're a kid, but then as you grow older, it becomes shades of gray. So it's an interesting way to use this wackadoo fucking emotions as people inside your head controlling a console like on a fucking battleship, you know what I mean? And then just have relevant things about how emotions work in people as they change. In typical Pixar fashion, it's like a movie about life in the guise of an animated children's movie that's really for anyone. And as adults, I feel like you could look back on our childhood and look at this, and it's like, oh, that is relevant. That is like you go through this thing where like something in your life changes and it kind of changes who you are. So for this girl, it's moving away from the Midwest. Wisconsin, Midwest?
Wisconsin, yeah.
No, Minnesota.
Minnesota? It's the Midwest,
yeah,
right?
Sorry.
It's all the
it's
same
like
thing.
the edge of the Midwest.
Flyover states to San Francisco and dealing with that change. You know what I mean? So what do you guys think?
I think this was a really interesting, a super high concept, small human story. Like nobody's ever tried that before.
It is
Not
weird
that I
because
can think of.
it is small in scope, but it is also at the same time
Riley's
big
story
in
is a
scope.
very small.
Well, they
story.
balance two different stories, but each one has a different level of scope. And
Yeah.
it's funny when you're in the inside, that's when the scope is large. But when you're in the outside,
He's small.
it's very small.
It's
very interesting.
It's a very I don't want to say a low stakes human story, but it's a story of a kid who has a rough time transitioning.
I say I came across as just everything was like super high stakes, even things that are very little.
But I mean, when you're 11, that is a high stakes thing. Like, we moved across the country, I have no friends. What am I gonna do? You're ruled by fear, anger, and disgust.
Right.
You know?
They also, I think there's a really good balance between like how people really act and then them fictionalizing that on the back end. So there's a scene where it's her first day of class and the teacher's asking her questions. She starts talking about how it's like, she's like, I'm from Minnesota, and she's like, oh, pretty cold out there. And she's like, oh yeah, like the like the lake freezes and we play hockey and I love hockey and blah 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 blah. And then she starts kind of like telling a story, and as she tells the story, she gets sadder, and then she starts to cry, and then she sits down really awkwardly, which I feel like that's a very emotionally true moment. And then on the back end, they explained it away by creating this fictional world, and then like the different emotions are trying to act like they're happy, so they're trying to whatever, but then that nostalgia ends up backfiring. So it's a bizarre. It's like they show you in the outside world, they show you like something that is relevant and real, and then they fictionalize it on the inside world, but in a way that feels real too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we piggyback off that because
Piggyback off it, Matt.
here we go, piggyback. When you talk about that, you have they could screw it up in a lot of ways by having the emotions act independently from the character, and the emotions are doing all sorts of things. But it makes sense. They shoot it and they animate it in such a way that it makes sense, because you'd think that, oh, is this Sadness just doing this randomly because Sadness is her own independent character doing it? Like, no, that's Riley is telling her emotions, this is what I want to, this is what's happening as I think about it. So it's not just independent action. It all comes together in a way that works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They
It makes sense why these things are happening, and not
Right.
just it's not just happening randomly. Not just Sadness decided I'm gonna make her sad because
she's looking back. Sadness wants to. Okay, so there's a scene where Sadness starts touching the core memories and making them sad memories, right? And you could say like, well, is Sadness the villain? But what's really going on is that Riley is thinking about these moments, and now these moments don't make her happy anymore; they make her sad because she has lost all of this stuff. So she's sad. So how Riley feels is how her emotions act, right? So Joy keeps trying to be positive, so it's Riley trying to be positive. So they come to their San Francisco house. It's an old Victorian, which I thought looked awesome. They go inside. It's all small, beat up.
Exactly. I was like, that's a pretty cool looking house.
She's totally bummed out. There's a dead rat, and so all of her emotions are like, "Oh my god, a dead rat! Like, let's get out of here. Let's bail." And then the Joy is like, no. Dad told us about this room. Let's go check out this room. And that's the personification of how one deals with things, right? If you walk into a room and this is your new place to live and there's a dead rat, it's like, all right, we gotta change the subject. We gotta go to our, we gotta get out of here. We gotta see something new. We gotta figure it out. You know what I mean? So is that what you're trying to say? So it's like her emotions are there's two things going on. There's Riley's emotions are essentially Riley, and then at the same time the emotions are affecting Riley at the same time. So it's like there's this weird circle of how both plots are influencing each other.
Exactly.
Where the emotions will do something, and then that'll make Riley do something, and Riley do something that makes the emotions do something.
Mm-hmm. And also, talking about the house.
Which how the fuck do you write this movie? Go ahead.
It took him a long time, and
With the house.
but the house. Another thing I don't want to go too far off from the main point, but when you talk about the movie, you talk about the attention to detail that Pixar animators are actually doing. Which apparently they had half the animators work on this movie than they did on, say, another Pixar movie. I think.
Yeah, I think the number was 45.
Yeah, they had a really, but the attention to detail was so spot on, because I lived in San Francisco and I can say that is pretty spot on. How when you look at these cool looking Victorian houses and you go inside, they are pretty much shitholes. Like they look absolute garbage.
No, I mean there are nice ones, but I mean,
but it is very telling.
It did look like them, and
it's very typical. It's a very typical looking San Francisco house.
So if you're listening to what we're saying here, and your only knowledge of San Francisco Victorian is Full House, Yeah, it doesn't
That was
look,
a set.
It does not look like that. It's not this huge room. Or
It's not that big.
They are tiny little houses, very charming. A lot of window seating, and every inch of the house is like used. But yeah, it's they did get the details right when they're walking down the street in San Francisco and they're walking down a hill and it's like just the way that they did the gutters where they're all fucked up and the streets all cracked. It's a beautiful city, but it is like it's a heavily used city. You know what I mean?
And that on ramp to 80, I think it's East.
It does not matter.
Whatever, the Bay Bridge, but that intersection, I know that intersection.
Mm-hmm.
It smells like pee, but I know, but I knew these landmarks and it was very interesting to see. Although, maybe I should save for nitpicks. I'll save for nitpicks.
Save it for nitpicks. You got anything, Kev? You want to talk about San Francisco? At all?
I like that, and obviously this is by design, that San Francisco, the real world, looked a lot more grounded than a lot of other Pixar movies that take place in the real world.
Right.
Like, it didn't look like Ratatouille's Paris.
Right.
It was a very...
I thought they they glamorized it a little bit, but for the most part, it's what I would imagine Paris would look like. It's got its glamour, but also got its kind of dinginess to it.
But in Up, like, it felt like a real city. Like, it didn't feel like a cartoon city. But then you go in the mind, and it's hyper stylized.
Right.
It's this whole imaginative big world, and it was great how they were able to balance those two worlds constantly. This movie is constantly going back and forth between these two worlds. So.
Yeah, and there's some really funny flashbacks that were like the emotions were talking to each other, and they're like, remember that time you did this? And then they would cut to something in Riley's past. So they're talking to Sadness. It's like, do you remember when, like, what do you like, Sadness? She's like, the rain. And then Joy thinks about Riley in the rain, and she's running around the rain having fun. And then it cuts to like Riley being sick in the rain, and her galoshes are full of water. It just they do a really good job, and there's a very stylistically different, but not jarring, but still very stylistically different real world versus imaginary world. You never confuse where you are.
Exactly. Takes some big talent. Big props to Pete Docter.
Listen.
Is he Pixar's best director, do you think?
I don't know, Brad
in
Bird.
their stable?
Brad
Brad Bird's kind of kind of a contract guy. They bring him in when
Pete Docter's been with them for
since the beginning.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, he also worked with Disney too. I mean, he's a CalArts graduate, so he's kind of been in and out of Disney and Pixar. Well, not in and out. He's been working with them consistently since the late 80s.
Yep.
Yes.
I'll disagree with you just for the sake of why not.
Do it.
Who's
Who's Pixar's best director, do you think, of their stable?
I don't know. I mean, I would say John Lasseter, but as we learned in the first half, I don't like any of the movies he directed because they're all about toys being sad. So...
And Cars.
I've not seen any of the Cars movies, but I think I would like them.
Cars 1 is...
Just watch Cars 1, but
we've talked about this.
not to digress.
I want to talk about all the things. I'm going to bring up the format for the first half of the episode. We're to talk about all those things. Do we want to get into Bing Bong or?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to talk about Bing Bong.
First things last. His death was grislier than the death in Jurassic Park from our last time episode.
I cried.
Okay, let me say something.
I don't blame you.
This movie was a constant battle to not fucking cry. And then when he died, I cried.
And
It's like that shit was so unbelievably depressing.
His last line, possibly Pixar's most devastating line they've ever written. Take her to the moon for me.
And I'm like,
fuck you guys.
I was
Jesus.
That was too much. I mean, I loved it. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is probably my favorite movie of the year. I'm gonna say it's the best movie of the year.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it until I see.
No, it's no Mad Max, but
I do love me the Fury Road.
yeah, Mad Max.
Shiny and chrome.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Mad Max would possibly beat this, but I do hold this movie to, I don't know, I'm bringing it back to what you guys just said. I do hold this movie's greatness against it. They want you to feel sad about this character's death, but it's so unbelievably sad that I hate them. I hate them for doing it to me. It's like how people hate horror movies, where it's like they feel offended, right? Like, why would you do this to me? I'm scared. Why would you do this to me? I'm sad.
You hate that you got control.
Yeah. Also, I didn't. You guys admitted that you cried. I will admit that I didn't cry, but the only reason why I didn't cry is I'm too emotionally stunted to cry. But if I wasn't, I would have.
Mr. Jibber Jabber has no soul.
I have a soul, but it was our Catholic upbringing really beat it down to a black pulpy mass, like that episode of Star Trek where they go to the planet and it's like that black oil.
Yeah, and like Denise Crosby dies.
Yeah, Denise Crosby dies. My soul killed Denise Crosby. Moving on.
She deserved to die. She was worthless. Sorry.
I liked her character in Star Trek. This isn't about Star Trek. So first of all, that character of
hold on.
Bing Bong, Boing Bong, Bing Bong.
Hang on
Big
just
Bong.
1 sec. You're talking about how you didn't like essentially how they were kicking you while you're down emotionally.
No,
And you didn't like the character because of that. But,
But
it's like,
but I realize that is my own fault. Like
Because it was-
I can't hold if we go to a movie for emotional experiences. So if you give me the best one, I can't hold that against you. It's not like me. That's like me saying like I don't like this 5-star restaurant steak because it makes all other steaks taste bad to me. You know what I mean? It's like that's not their fucking problem. They don't give a shit about what everyone else is doing. They're on their own game. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I think that they didn't overdo it with the sadness.
No, it's perfectly done.
It's because if they were just kept on jabbing that knife into you, like, hey, this is sad, and you are
Right,
gonna feel
they're
the
not-
sadness, and we're gonna just keep on making this shit sadder and
not-
sadder.
yeah.
Then that'd be okay. You've done. You've overkill. But they balance perfect.
No, it's perfectly done. They're not beating up a kitten here. They're like setting up some stakes. They introduce a character. They make you like the character. They put the character in danger. So they find Bing Bong looking at memories. You make him likable. You make him sad. You know, you make us feel bad for him. He gets kidnapped and taken to the subconscious. They rescue him. Then more peril happens. He falls into the abyss of lost memories or whatever it's called. And then you're like, oh shit, he's not gonna get out. They foreshadow that, and then they pay it off. They don't do anything underhanded other than doing all of the things I just said perfectly. You know what I mean?
Those bastards.
Those fucking bastards! Ugh.
But
Geniuses of their time, but sons of bitches you are, Pixar. God damn.
Pulling all the strings.
I did not mind Bing Bong. I thought
I love, he's first of all, aesthetically delicious, right? He looks like a fuzzy, felt, weird elephant with like, I don't even know, his feet are like little monster feet, and he has a bushy tail, and he's part dolphin. That was so funny.
Yeah, his body is mostly cotton candy.
He's mostly cotton candy.
Christ, his tears are candy.
His tears are candy. I mean, like, this is every single one of those. If that character was just one of those ideas, it would be great, but he's all of them, and it's executed perfectly. Tears are candy. What? Come on.
Try the caramels; they're great.
Yeah.
Voiced by the great Richard Kind.
Who is he?
He's a character actor. Most recently, he was in A Serious Man, and he was on the short-lived HBO show Luck.
He also played a rapist on SVU.
I'm sure everyone's played a rapist in this video. Everyone's played
Everyone
a
in
rapist.
Hollywood has played a rapist.
Unless you're a woman, then you played a rape
You'd,
victim.
Or the person who implicated the husband,
Yes.
and then she goes to jail.
Yep.
Trying to protect. Anyway, this isn't an SVU. It should be, but
you would recognize Richard Kind if you saw him.
Yeah.
Basically.
very, very, very distinct face.
But and perfectly done. Where he is her childhood friend, her imaginary childhood friend. Also, when they show the little girl playing with him, like so cute, he's running on the ceiling.
Yep.
Just done, just perfect shit. And then they introduced this that they used to play with this wagon with some wings that were going to take them to the moon. And I knew this fucking thing was dying when they were like, he sees a recent memory of her and he's like, she's so big, we're never gonna fit in the rocket ship now.
Yep.
And I'm like, this fucking thing is dying and I will be devastated.
And as she grows up, there's no need for the imaginary friend.
Well, and
That's a kid thing, and it pays off. It just pays off so fucking. God damn you, Pixar!
It does.
God damn you.
Because the whole movie is about growing up and how you change as you grow up. She doesn't need Bing Bong anymore.
And keep in mind, the setting where he dies is the pit of forgotten memories.
Right.
And if you look in the background, foreground, you see these little orbs of memories of like when she's a kid, and they just fade away.
Yeah. So it's like all of her kitty memories are gone. Well, that's the thing. The first scene in the movie is her as a baby getting a memory, and I'm like, babies don't have memories. But then later they pay that off by saying, you know, things get forgotten. So it's like this is her baby memory, and then it goes away. So Pixar.
So he dies in the devastating wasteland of her lost memory.
Oh my
Yeah, so as he slowly turns to dust.
We need to get out of this because it's gonna make me start crying again because that shit was too much.
Just to wrap it up, this is the only time they stuck the knife in you, right? So he loses his hand immediately. They find the climax of the movie is, Joy basically, kind of losing hope, right? And crying. Unlike joy, the emotion, being sad, right? Then they find, we haven't even talked about sad. We haven't talked about the other main character of the movie yet. Well, then they find the fucking rocket ship. They try to roll it down a hill and sing, because singing activates it, and they fly up. And then they crash twice. He's like, no, we got it. This third time we'll do it. And then his arm has disappeared now, is completely. So some shit's up. Again, great foreshadowing. And then he fucking jumps out and she makes it and he dies. And he's like, take her to the moon. And you're like, my emotions. Inside your own brain, your own emotions are just weeping.
Sadness has taken over that control board and pushed
it's
every button.
It is really well done, because they don't, in a lot of other Disney movies and Pixar movies, when they did this, I think in Big Hero 6 and Wreck-It Ralph, where the hero sacrifices himself to help out, whomever.
Right, that's the new.
And then, but they usually, it's like, they're like, oh, I'm gonna do it right now. Like, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
he knew it.
He fell into that pit and he knew he would never get out.
And so he's just that's when,
like in Big Hero 6, when the brother runs into the thing, he doesn't think he's gonna die. He's like, I'm gonna go fucking save someone. I'm gonna be, that he wants to be a hero, but he wants to do the right thing. And then he dies a horrible fucking flaming death, which is very sad. But in this movie, like, if I was a kid, I'd hate this movie for doing that to me with this thing. And the kids in our screening were way too young to really get the emotional devastation about it. I'd say they were like 3 or 4.
I would say this is not a kid's movie. I'd say it looks like it could be.
Would you say it's a horror movie?
How dare you?
I'd say that scene is a horror scene. And if anyone is,
get out of here.
That scene is not a horror scene where someone dies a grisly, terrible death.
Get out of here.
You guys are in denial.
No, it's not a horror scene.
Horror,
reaching.
Pure horror.
You're reaching.
Nope.
And grabbing nothing. Grasping at straws. Called it.
I'm gonna keep talking about this until you start crying, and then we'll see who the monster is, and it'll be me.
You're an asshole.
Anyways, should we get off of this? Let's talk about sadness. So the character, first of all, the character of Sadness I thought was very cute, very teardrop shape. As we talked to, her walking animation is hilarious. Like it's like little like.
She's so frumpy.
Yeah. So and then like
when she collapses, she kind of just falls in a lump.
She just falls in a lump. Yeah.
Felt I was dying.
Very good like boneless animation. Yeah. The way like someone like a cat would fall over and be boneless. That's how she would fall over. And then really good like so Riley is looking back on her memories, and her memories are now tinged with sadness because she's lost her home because they moved away. So Sadness wants to start touching random things for no reason, but the real reason is because Riley's sad. So she's being dragged around by Joy, and then she's touching the bottom row of all the memories. It's so good.
It is.
And then when Joy gets out of the pit of sadness, she's trying to find Sadness, and she's like, well, she was lying on the ground dragging it, and then she looks down, and Sadness is basically running, trying to get her way out of the maze as she touches all of the... It's just so good. She's just touching all these things. Ugh. I did like that character a lot. I thought she was good.
All the characters were all really good, well-rounded.
Great voice cast.
Yeah.
Great voice cast. Also, Mindy Kaling's character of Disgust, I think, could really have been... That was a character that they could have really fucked up. Like if this was like a different company, that character would have been super annoying and lame.
Yeah.
But they did manage to make all of the emotions very likable.
Mm-hmm.
I thoroughly enjoyed Lewis Black as
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Also, interesting note, when they go into other people's heads, so Riley's main character is main in her emotions, the one who sits in the middle of the control room is Joy. But everyone has a different set. So the mom's main one is sadness, the dad's main one is anger, and then in the end of the movie during the credits they show other people's, and it's all over the place. The cast is no one's really paying attention.
Oh my! Well, you want to talk about the
yeah. So at the end of the movie,
the
they kind of bounce around to characters that we've met. Not a lot of characters in this movie. Bounce on the characters from the world that we met, and we go into their brains and we see their emotions. And then they go to a dog, and then they go to a cat.
Oh, the cat was it. If anyone here has a cat, you know that they love jumping on anything that has buttons, a laptop or whatever, keyboard, and they will walk all over it and just probably even lay on top of it. And
boy, did they capture that moment in this movie.
I think that was probably the biggest laugh I had in the whole movie.
I just like when they
aside from all the tears I had.
We should say there are some good jokes in this movie. It's a funny movie.
I would
even
say,
moments from the trailer were funny. You know what I mean? In the context. which is very rare for movies.
Although I think the best adult joke in that movie was the Bears in San Francisco joke. That slayed me. And I was cackling out loud. I think everyone else in the theater didn't understand it or didn't care to. But boy, was I cackling on that one.
Pixar's good at sneaking in those little adult jokes.
I did not like that joke. And I didn't really like, and this is, I was going to save this for nitpicks, I'll bring it up again, but I didn't like the San Francisco jokes in this movie where it's like, what is it, 2008, or we're making fun of San Francisco? I didn't really like it.
It does have
Bears and then putting broccoli on
the Bears
pizza.
thing is funny because that still exists.
Bears is great.
But the thing that I didn't like, because in San Francisco they paint this picture as being a very liberal, weird, kooky city, but it really isn't. There's pockets of it, but for the most part, if you live in San Francisco, you're like a well-to-do person. You are a 9-to-5er. You're not
right. Because if you don't live in San Francisco and you're listening to this, San Francisco is a fucking expensive place to live because everyone who owned property there got together one day and decided, hey, wait, what if we said it was all premium property, beachfront, middle of the city, and all the fucking areas in the middle,
and the toilet center of the the Tenderloin.
Right. It's an 8x8 square, and we'll just say it's all worth all the money. And so that's what it is.
Let's not even talk about Golden Gate Park, a place near
which
there.
makes sense
shit.
but it does make sense when they move there and they move in this shitty place because even though that family seems like they're pretty well to do, they got,
and he's high up in his company.
So of course when you move to San Francisco, you're gonna get kind of like a shitty place,
a fixer-upper,
if you will.
So yeah, I don't know. Making fun of San Francisco, like I feel like it's very like that one South Park episode from like the mid 2000s.
Yeah,
the smug. You know what I mean?
But they don't dwell on it too much. They make the pizza joke and they make a few jokes early on, but they don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
Which
I just thought those were very, in a movie that is very perfectly precisely executed. I feel like those are just kind of throwaway moments that just don't really add up to much.
Well, keep in mind, it is from the perspective of a 11-year-old Midwestern girl.
True, that's a great devil's advocate argument to me. That is, and we are Bay Area people who really had nothing against. San Francisco was where all the cool shit happened. We live in the shitty suburbs, so there is a perspective there, and I kudos to you, Kev, for calling it out. Didn't like it though. Didn't fucking like it. I'll kill him.
Although I will say that living in San Francisco, I don't think I've ever seen a place that served broccoli on pizza. Just saying. Maybe it's out there,
but it's not a stretch to believe. In LA, you can get Brussels sprouts on pizza. It's not, people.
But if you're gonna go to, you can have a pizza podcast or what?
I hope so.
Because for the most part, if you're a pizza joint in San Francisco, you're doing it on the cheap, and you're just trying to. Broccoli is too much work for a pizza.
All I'm going to say to wrap this up is that if you live in LA, there's a place called Stella Barra on Sunset Boulevard. Great fucking pizza.
Breakfast pizza is the best.
Breakfast pizza's good. Dinner's pizza good. They got a good lunch pizza as well.
Pizza's great.
Pizza's on a bagel. You can eat pizza anytime.
I think the broccoli ties into her childhood memory.
Sure.
Too.
Yes.
I think that's also tied into the story.
Right.
Your broccoli is her main disgust. In fact, the character of Disgust kind of looks like a piece of broccoli.
Indeed. No, you're right, Kev. You're right, but I just didn't. I wish they could have done it in a different way.
All right.
It was a small part, but
it's really a nitpick, but whatever. So that's all I got for just general thoughts. You guys got any other general thoughts or?
I kind of want to see this again because I don't feel it has stuck with me as much as other Pixar movies. I don't know why. I really loved it in the moment and thought it was good, but it just hasn't quite gripped me.
It feels like everything happened very fast, but it wasn't. Well, it didn't blow by you like, oh wait, what?
Exactly.
But it moved so well that
there's a tremendous amount of information being expertly told to you, and I think that's what it is because when you have to explain. There's a lot of explaining done in this movie that feels not like exposition at all.
Yeah.
Where they have Riley's interests, family, honesty, hockey, friendship. Those all have their own mini islands. So there's this HQ which floats above the abyss. There's these mini islands that are like little theme parks of her interests or her personality traits, each tied to her core memory. And then there's like these library stacks of her memories, and then behind or next to that is like there's like a movie studio, which is where her dreams come from, and Imagination Land, which is like a theme park. So, and they explain all of these things very succinctly. So I think there is an information overload when you think back on it. In the moment, it's all perfectly just kind of given to you. But goddamn, man, it is. There's a lot that gets told to you in this movie.
Yeah, it moves. It's not.
It moves.
Like
it's a
Up,
brisk movie.
Like Up, you get backstory in the first 10 minutes. You're depressed as fuck, and then you move on to some more lighter material and more fun. But for the most part, it goes very evenly paced and a little bit slow. And Up in some of the other Pixar movies, this one, out the gate, they're going for it from stop to finish.
And this is my favorite kind of adventure movie, where it's kind of like it's basically chase movies and road trip movies kind of fit into this category of what I'm going to call dudes run across a continent subgenre, where two people have to get somewhere, and then getting there, like Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid is an example. You gotta go somewhere, but there's a bunch of shit in the way, and I love that, because that kind of stuff moves really quick, and there's lots of fun to be had. Which in this movie, both those things happen.
But yeah, I think I want to see it and not have to process all that information.
Yes.
Just know the world. I think that's when it's really gonna stick with me a little more, or really get a hold of me the way like WALL-E did or The Incredibles did.
Are you gonna go see it again in the theater, or are you gonna wait for the home end?
I'll see it again in the theater.
On demand?
I'm gonna when this comes on 3D Blu-ray.
You gonna pick that up?
Gonna pick that in Jurassic World.
Also, I'm gonna go ahead and say a lot of good movies this fucking summer so far.
We're having a good summer.
Having a good summer, guys.
Not like that last summer with all that shit. Actually, I can't recall many of them.
That's exactly what I was waiting for.
Okay, wait, Spider-Man 2 and
Was that last summer?
Godzilla.
Godzilla was last summer.
I like Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla's alright.
Some other shit, Guardians of the Galaxy.
That was great. What the fuck are you talking about?
I didn't say it was a bad year. I was just making a
You said all that shit last year.
come on, I wasn't being all inclusive.
2015 is starting out good for the summer.
We got Terminator coming up.
Keep in mind, Terminator just might
and
derail
dope.
the whole thing.
All right, and there we go.
All right, so we want to get into our nitpicks here.
Let's get into nitpicks.
All right,
Okay,
so
I can't think of anything else. I think we pretty much covered
the movie.
the main meat of it.
I mean, we'll wrap this one up. I mean, we'll get to it.
We don't want this to be longer than the actual movie.
No, I do want this to be as long as the movie. That's my new goal. We match runtime minute for minute.
Dollar for dollar.
You guys ready?
Ready.
This is nitpicks. 1 minute, go.
I thought Fear was a little underdeveloped as a character and emotion.
Yeah, that's true. I thought the death of the imaginary friend was just the cruelest fucking death in cinema history.
I disagree. I'd say that's my awesome thing.
The San Francisco jokes didn't really care for them, but it's a nitpick. And anything else? We've got 40 seconds.
Hence why we're in nitpicks. Let's see.
I love this movie. It's hard to nitpick it. I wish it was longer.
Yeah, I would have liked to spend a little more time in some of the lands.
Do you wish it was a TV show? We could spend like 10 hours here.
I think they could have
A
gone.
miniseries.
I think they could have made a 2-hour movie instead of an hour
movie.
film.
Extra 20 on top.
I think,
I think you could have expanded a little more. Yeah,
but
maybe 10
then
minutes.
it alienates the moviegoers because they don't want to sit through 2 hours of an animated movie.
I do.
Yeah.
I do too, but I'm saying
You're not paying by the minute.
Joe Q public doesn't want that. Ooh.
Ooh.
All right. So,
Plan 9 from outer space.
also, homie, save if you disagree, save it for the fucking awesome things, homie. This is nitpicks, all right? Just the nitpicks.
Yeah, because of all that time we wasted on.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
We get 20 seconds at the end where we didn't say a goddamn
it's an
thing.
organizational note, all right? There's nitpicks, there's awesome things. Here come the awesome things. You guys ready? You got awesome things lined up? Got your notes?
Mm-hmm. I actually don't have notes. All in the old noggin.
All right. Here you go. Also, I did take notes during this movie, which was exceedingly difficult.
Yeah,
Tough taking notes in the dark.
Tough taking notes in the dark. Some of them didn't make it. I'm not gonna lie to you. All right, ready? Go.
The clown.
Oh
my God.
Yeah, so good. The nightmare was awesome with the dead mouse and then the bear serving the pizza. Also, the music was from the Haunted Mansion.
It was the
ride.
Haunted Mansion music.
So
A little
good.
throwback. There was a little Easter egg for Finding Nemo on a board game. That was kind of cool.
What board game?
In the Imagination Land, there was a.
We'll come back to this. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I like how Sadness walks. I like how Joy, when she got excited, she'd like kind of run in place, like she'd kick up her legs. That was really good. The abstract thought room was amazing.
Yes. But yeah, the way they use different animation styles, like 3 or 4 different animation styles.
Cliff Clavin cameo in all the Pixar movies,
Yep.
always good.
The death of the imaginary friend was very relevant to the story they're trying to tell about growing up and, leaving things in the past.
Oh, here we go. The dog split in half in the dream. Yeah. Oh my god, that was too much.
And the workers inside of her brain were that was so good.
The gum commercial.
Oh yeah, so they send the gum commercial like we just send this thing up just randomly. We don't care. That was great. I like how they didn't explain what they were. They were just like the workers in the brain. They're like neurons or something, but it doesn't matter.
Also, Flea was a voice in that. I think it's one of the.
Oh really?
He was I think he was one of the guards in the subconscious.
Oh,
I'm not mistaken.
this is also a lot of random jokes in this movie where it's like that's my hat.
Yep.
It says me in there. That's what I wrote. It's like what are you guys talking
Weird little
about?
shtick. It was good.
Yeah, really good sticky things. Also, what
the credits were amazing,
credits were really good. Yeah.
and then it's kind of a overplayed cliche kind of joke where you have inside of the parent's mind, and you see how, the guy's just watching basketball.
Mom and dad are on 2 different wavelengths.
Yeah, and the mom is more like The View, and they went for it.
This was a nitpick, Matt. You had your chance.
I withdraw.
What was this cameo you were speaking of?
Finding Nemo?
No, the other one. You said Cliff something or something. like that?
Oh,
John Ratzenberger.
John Ratzenberger. He was right at the end when they install the new big mixed emotion keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Here you go, guys. It's like here's your new keyboard." He's in every Pixar movie.
As just some random character.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's always fun to hear him.
Maybe we should save this one for crazy fan theories. Looking at Matt.
We'll come back to that.
Okay, and then what was the Finding Nemo thing?
Oh, in the Imagination Land, there's a stack of board games, and then on one of the games, there was a little label that said "Find Me," and there was a picture of a clownfish. So obviously, it's a little Easter egg for all
They love referencing themselves.
Also, I think there was a My Neighbor Totoro reference with the clown sleeping and Bing Bong trapped on top of him in the subconscious. The way the clown's mouth looked and the way
the
he
big
kinda
mouth,
snored,
like that big
very Totoro-esque
Miyazaki mouth.
Yeah, exactly. When the young girl discovers Totoro for the first time.
Interesting.
Very big, toothy mouth.
Was there anything else that I wanted to come back to?
Like the clown's sad brain during the credits when they're like, "Fuck."
The little prepubescent boy. His
girl, all the klaxons going off.
Yeah, that was too much. That whole end was just a perfect. If you were depressed, this will kind of get you not so depressed.
Yeah, no, they DreamWorks is great at building you up, tearing you down to the foundation. Pixar.
Yeah.
Building you up, tearing you down to the studs, and then building you back up again. They will build you back up again. Don't get it twisted. Yep. But goddamn, is that process
it's not
just
like Tim Burton, where you're like, I feel just.
Well, this isn't about Tim Burton. I don't want to save it for the Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare Before Christmas podcast. Also, you can save it for the Nightmare on Elm Street podcast, and I'll say the same rant again. Save it for the other one.
Okay.
All right.
Also, great name for a minor league hockey team, the Foghorns.
Yeah, it's good.
That's great.
It's good.
Cute.
It looked like Hubert on the thing. I was like, are they the Huberts?
It did look like Hubert.
Yeah, they look Hubert. Fitting for the Bay Area. So we'll just wrap it up here with the post Q&A questions. Did 5 emotions work for you guys? Because initially we talked about this earlier in the first half, where it was like there's going to be 27 emotions, and then they pared it down to 5. What do you guys think about that?
I thought 5 was a good number.
Yeah,
for them.
Pretty solid. They had enough to work off of each other,
but not overwhelming, where you had to keep track of who was doing what.
Right. Yeah, I do think that they really told the story well with the 5, and in a way that I think is very impressively done.
And distinct color coding of the memories they affect and the characters you never...
And good visual storytelling where,
Excellent visual.
So something bad happened and Joy's frustrated, she looks over and then a new memory comes out and it's green and it's discussed.
Yep.
So they really captured what's going on really well. Like in terms of setting up these 5 emotions and then paying them off all the time. And then, the anger has a flamey head, and then disgust makes her really mad, and they use that to burn the glass in the HQ. It's just like really good stuff, The opening scene, they kind of put over every emotion except for sadness, and Joy doesn't really understand what sadness does. What did you guys make of that at the time? Just foreshadowing or what, or anything, or what?
I didn't put too much stock into that.
It almost made Joy seem kind of mean. She was always... But, I mean, that's the theme of the movie.
Right.
That you're always trying to shut out
She does some fucked up
sadness.
shit in this movie. Yeah. She abandons...
Stay in the circle now.
Yeah. She draws a circle for sadness and says, "This is the sadness circle. Keep all the sadness inside." And then she like kicks her foot. And
I wouldn't say it's being, I wouldn't go and say that she's being cruel. I think that this is Riley saying she's having her joy emotion override her sadness
Exactly.
because she knows she has to be really fucking chipper because everyone expects her to be super happy and outgoing.
It's legitimate.
It goes into
So
the
I wouldn't say. I mean, Riley is really the mastermind behind all this, but it is a little like, ooh, really, come on, sadness just wants to play.
Yeah, but then also Joy leaves her when they're trying to get back. When she tries to take the tube back,
Yep.
she just leave her and makes it so that she can't follow. So basically, you're gonna be lost out here forever.
She'd go back for her.
That's fucked up.
So I do think Phyllis Smith, who did the voice of sadness, best of the five.
She did a really good job. I think Amy Poehler also did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that it's also thematic of like joy is an emotion that you can understand, but like what's the point of sadness? You know what I mean? And like I think they pay that off. Like Joy tries to cheer up the Bing Bong at one point when Bing Bong's feeling very down, and sadness is the one who cheers him up by relating to him.
Exactly.
And
Like,
it's like
actually
you know,
listening to the bad things, not like
trying to just be
not
like,
trying to hide the bad things. Oh, look at this fun thing. It's like really understanding
Her
sad
emotions
right.
grow.
And I do think that part of the movie's thesis, right, is that sadness is an okay thing to feel, and you kind of change as you go, and you have to just embrace how you feel. You can't just ignore it. This is how emotions work.
Yep.
Interesting thing. And in the end, yeah, she changes. She's not that. And it's like very literal. She says at the end of the movie, "I'm not that happy girl. I'm different now because I miss our home."
She's honest with herself.
Yeah, she's honest with herself, and sadness is an honest emotion because it's like.
She's very literal and tells it like it is.
So, do you guys have any other questions, or should I ask our penultimate question? Is in the end, did you like this movie and does it work? Kevin.
It works. I liked it. I want to love it, but I need to see it again.
That's fair. We literally saw this movie a few hours ago.
Exactly.
I almost did the math there. I'm not doing the math.
Well, you know, my thoughts. I love this movie. Best of the year. I'm, you know, obviously.
Putting it over hard.
I mean,
Getting your Academy vote?
ballot in Inside Out.
Or seven,
Best foreign film.
best foreign film.
Inside Out Chinese dub.
Well, if it weren't for all animated movies being relegated to one category, I would say this would be
They
a
are.
perfect contender for a Best Picture.
they're not relegated to any category.
But you can't nominate an animated movie for Best Picture. It's gonna only
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
They
you
did
can.
Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3, Up, Beauty and the Beast.
but they were actually nominated, or they lobby for
they were
it.
nominated.
You have to lobby the way
You
the
gotta
Academy
lobby for everything.
Yeah.
I thought you
lobby- you have to-
I thought you could only, if you had an animated movie, you can only.
anyone can lobby a movie, right, if you own the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then you lobby it, and then if there's a process through the guilds or whatever where you get the nomination, and then so you try
Oh,
to
I
get,
thought they
I mean there's
wouldn't.
qualifiers, right? You can't get nominated for a foreign movie if your movie's in English, but like you know, in terms of Best Picture, anything you get nominated for Best
So
Picture.
I remember after Beauty and the Beast was nominated for Best Picture, then they decided to make that category to honor the best animated movies.
Right.
I thought they only put okay.
No, yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Also, did you all know the Oscars are political? Shit.
Yeah, it's a
It is. It's
It is
Peter
political.
Bogdanovich in a room picking out names. No, I don't know.
yeah, it's political.
But no, Best of the Year. Loved it. I want to see it again. I want there to be. This is where I think it actually warrants a sequel. I think you could actually make a good sequel and not have it be derivative or tacked on like a Frozen sequel.
It's kind of like Kingsman, where I want to see the world and not have to take time to explain it, you know? Like, I just want to go into a world and know all the rules and what goes on and just see a full movie as, like, without any burden of that exposition. I think that would be... You could really do that with Inside Out.
Right, in a sequel.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up this initial question I asked, in the end, I do love this movie. In the end, I do kind of hate this movie at the same time. And I think it works supremely well. And I think what is undeniable is that it is a excellently made movie in terms of storytelling, visual, thematic, creating its own little world, being original. It's everything that people complain that movies aren't. This movie is. So if you're someone who complains that there's too many comic book movies, too many reboots, too many sequels, this fucking movie is original. It's deep. It's poppy. It's sugar. It's everything you want. It's everything movies is, right? It's super sad. It's super funny. It earns everything it tries to do. It's really a great movie. And putting it, you have to give it that respect because it's just executed perfectly. Almost too much? Some might question them. Some being me. So last thing. Let's do some pitches for the sequel to this movie. You guys want?
I think the most obvious one is going to be here going through puberty.
Riley going through puberty.
That seems, if there ever was going to
Do
be...
we introduce a new emotion of horny or something, or
Inappropriate.
Kevin?
Who would play horny? Like who would do the
John-
who would do the voice?
John
of horny?
Leguizamo.
Oh God.
You're terrible.
It probably should be a girl because she's a girl. But
Yeah.
all right, your pitch.
College age Riley, perhaps you go. That's where
You skip straight to college.
I would go straight to.
Does
college.
she meet the
I think
kid from Toy Story?
Yeah. What if her and Andy hooked up?
Hey, they could be friends too. Who
Could be
knows?
friends. They're gonna fuck.
You're terrible.
But I feel like college is a big emotional upheaval. That's going from being a young adult to an adult, and I think you could really explore some big emotional swings.
I think that might be too big
It could be too big.
for Pixar. I think they're going to want to play it safe. I think doing that might alienate a lot of viewers if they do that, because I mean it was a big risk with Toy Story but the main focus of Toy Story was
Yeah, but these guys don't give a fuck, dude. They just do what they want. You know what I mean? They made Wall-E. It's a fucking movie about a robot and no one talks for like 35 minutes, right? You know what I mean? They're not afraid.
They're not scared,
They're not scared.
nor should they be.
My pitch is for a gigantic shark. No, my pitch is just a whole different movie. No Riley, just a different character, and we do a whole different story. It's just another
like
person.
of an 11-year-old boy or something.
11-year-old boy who lives in New York City. Who
it's
knows?
retreading.
Reboot. Reboot.
What if they did a relationship and there were two competing emotions?
Oh.
Like Pixar's version of Blue Valentine or something like that. That could be cool. Relationship emotions.
I'm down. Listen. It doesn't matter. Any of these ideas, I do feel like they could pull them off because these guys. Again, we talked about this with the first half. This is another movie that is gonna make a bunch of money. Not that we care about that. Critics are gonna love. Not that we care about that. And is a powerfully complete made movie. You know what I mean? Which we do care about. So it's like they get another strike again. They're bowling a perfect game. And Good Dinosaur, I feel like we'll see what happens, but
Is this their 15th movie?
15th movie,
15th Pixar movie. Yeah.
Pretty damn impressive. You know,
15 straight hits.
when your only low point is Cars 2, by most people's opinion.
Most adult. We talked about this before. Most
Exactly.
adult
I have not
opinions.
seen Cars 2. It's the only Pixar.
But the
movie
kids
I've
love
seen.
it. The kids love it.
The kids love it.
Planes, Fire and Rescue. That was a Disney movie, but it's in the cartoon universe.
Yeah. Terrible.
Anyways,
Jane Cook.
so I think that's it for us today. You guys think we did it?
We did it.
Yeah, I think so.
That's very convincing, Matt. Follow us on Twitter. Come back and join us for the next episode at Speaking Cinema, Facebook, all that kind of shit. You can figure it out. Google it or don't. Whatever. Any plugs? Plugs? No plugs.
No plugs.
No, we're not famous, so
Still,
we have
still
nothing
gonna
to plug.
and we got nothing else going on other than
Someday.
this. Yeah.
I aspire to have a plug.
All right. So, oh wait, we didn't do the fucking Matt. Do you have any conspiracy theories?
Oh.
You know, there's that theory that all Pixar movies are in the same universe. How
Yeah,
does
so
this
I'm
one tie
thinking.
in?
I'm thinking that probably, and this isn't as crazy as say, weird offsprings of characters from Jurassic Park coming back later. But I would say that probably Riley and Andy have interacted in some way. Like she could have been in the, because wasn't in one of the Toy Stories there's like a little girl.
Toy or girl?
No, girl, like in Toy Story 2, wasn't there like a little girl in it?
I don't know.
Not as a main character.
I don't see those movies. Too sad.
That's the only theory. Oh, that's the only crazy theory I can. It's not even that fun. Not even that juicy but theory, so maybe it won't work out. But I'm sure that there was probably a little girl in one of the Toy Story movies that could be Riley. Maybe Toy Story takes place in Minnesota. Who knows?
I'm sure there's someone who's listening right now who's like, "You fucking idiots! It takes place in blank, 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 blank." But I don't know that information.
And for that
not
person,
gonna look it up.
come find me.
At Speaking Cinema. Well, I'll pass the message along to Matt.
Yes.
All right. So that's it for us. See you guys later. Best / worst movie of the year. Inside Out.
Go see it.
Go see it.
Go see it.
In 3D.
In 3D. All right, guys. Oh, you seen 3D?
I was on 3D.
We did not see it in 3D. We probably should have talked about this about 40 minutes ago, but whatever.
I do 2D. 3D does nothing.
All right. Getting out of here. See you later, guys.
All right,
I'm
see ya.
going. Back, you're like, I don't know, emotions, man. They're like talking and stuff.
And
Are you guys ready?
snooze fest.
Ready.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So,
Are you recording?
yeah.
Oh, you're recording all this.
No. Just some of it.
Oh,
I just started recording.
Just hit record.
And then I'm going to edit this out. But I'll probably put it at the back of the episode. 'Cause it's just
tail end. Okay,
all right.
go ahead.
So 3, 2, 1.